Baik, Malaysia kini memasuki tahun 2026 dengan tumpuan besar terhadap reformasi tenaga kerja sejajar dengan Hala 7 Belanjawan 2026 di bawah kerangka Ekonomi MADANI yang meletakkan rakyat sebagai pusat pembangunan ekonomi. Kementerian Sumber Manusia KESUMA bersama TalentCorp kini menggerakkan pelan yang lebih terarah untuk mengukuhkan ekosistem bakat negara di tengah-tengah perubahan struktur ekonomi yang menuntut kemahiran lebih kompleks dalam sektor digital, teknologi hijau dan industri bernilai tinggi. Data pasaran buruh menunjukkan keperluan mendesak untuk memperbaiki padanan pekerjaan, meningkatkan produktiviti pekerja dan menangani isu upah permulaan graduan yang masih perlahan meningkat. Dan pada masa yang sama, Malaysia perlu mempercepat penyertaan tenaga kerja wanita, belia serta memperkasa laluan mobiliti kerjaya melalui TVET dan universiti. Dan dengan cabaran global seperti automasi, AI, mobiliti bakat serantau dan persaingan menarik pelaburan, strategi tenaga kerja kini bukan lagi soal menyediakan pelatih tetapi memastikan setiap ringgit pelaburan latihan memberi hasil yang boleh diukur termasuk peningkatan gaji, produktiviti dan daya saing firma. Jadi kita bersama dengan Raja Hamzah Abidin Raja Nongcik, ahli lembaga pengarah TalentCorp untuk kita mengulas lanjut. Baik, selamat pagi Hamzah. Untuk tahun baru ni 2026, mungkin kalau Hamzah boleh kongsikan apa 3 strategi prioritis TalentCorp di bawah kerangka Ekonomi Madani dan bagaimana kejayaannya akan diukur secara kuantitatif.
Selamat tahun baru kepada semua. I think now is an interesting time for TalentCorp dengan menteri baru, Dr. Sri Ramanan dengan some of his strategic initiatives as well. Tapi I think in the TalentCorp, it's business as usual. 3 things that are the big focus, which is one, bridging the talent gap. Kita dah menyumbang banyak kepada talent gap di Malaysia ini. But at the same time, we have created this Future Skills Talent Council. So this is a council that's sector dependent. So there's a focus council on data center, on aviation, on a lot of different sectors. Consultations done. So again, I think the one focus is how do we bridge the talent gap between different sectors. Number 2 is improving employability. So finding the AI skills gap. For example, how do we train up our online sellers, our social sellers, and this is done through a program called My Mahe, bridging the talent gap. I think one other strategic initiative which is actually very impactful is empowering the new workforce, right? So talking about bringing women back to the workforce, bringing army people back to the workforce. I think, again, TalentCorp, a lot of people think when you're about TalentCorp, it's about bringing talent back to Malaysia, but actually a lot of it now we do work is to improve talent in Malaysia and to upskill talent in Malaysia.
So new year, new minister and perhaps new goals as well. So kalau kita lihat ekosistem bakat sebagai satu sistem lah, di mana binding constraint paling besar hari ini kalau Hamzah lihat, mungkin dari segi skills mismatch, a weak signalling between education also industry, or is it limited career mobility? And what are the few high impact interventions that TalentCorp is prioritizing over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think all the factors you mentioned contribute to the constraints. Whether it's a skills mismatch, whether it's between industry and between government, there's always everything plays a part. But I think there are tremendous opportunities out there now from a talent perspective. Sebab I think this generational change in terms of AI, in terms of what the industry needs, is affecting all industries. I just yesterday runs accounting was to meet the talent gap that they're having. So I think a lot more focus on practical talent. But I feel that this means that all industry and stakeholders like us have to work a bit closer together versus before, because now a lot of what we thought before about the last 10 years is no longer relevant in this market.
And we know that KESUMA and TalentCorp always emphasize on whole of government coordination. So practically, bagaimana kita boleh move towards a single view of talent merentas HRD Corp, Perkeso, MOE dan juga TVET, especially dari segi data interoperability and also shared KPIs and accountability at the same time?
I think that's the difficult part. I think, for example, TVET, bukannya KESUMA je dia ada di KBS and a few other ministries that also manage TVET. It's one of the more, obviously, difficult issues to manage. Yeah. But I think the key part now, as a talent ministry, they would say, we are in charge of talent and TalentCorp is in charge of
a lot of developing the think tank for the ministry. I think in terms of how we always work with different ministries. I think last year in Q4 we worked with Ministry of Women to launch a program named World Economic Forum on bringing back women to the workforce. I think we also do a program with other ministries as well. So again, there's no choice. I think we have to be from the hub of a lot of the talent initiatives, but at the same time, we can't do it ourselves. We have to work with the different ministries. But I think the key part is always, as an agency, we are a bit more flexible. We are able to work with different ministries quite effectively. But again, semua kena add value lah. Kalau we don't add value, the other ministries will don't want to work with us. So I think we've always been very clear that the outcomes we want, and we also work with different stakeholders, both government and non-government stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. Hamzah, we always talk about upskilling and also reskilling. So daripada pelbagai skill list yang wujud hari ini, mungkin apa 10 skills lah that truly matter for Malaysia in 2026, bukan secara umum tapi yang ada clear demand signals from industry, and how will skills passport and also micro credentials reduce friction in hiring, also shorten time to productivity?
Okay, so in terms of skill list, I think that we've actually did a study and see which are the skills that are lacking in the market. One anecdote I always like to tell to people is one of the skills that is needed or there's a shortage in the market now is actually social sellers online. I was speaking to one of the online companies. There's about 2 million social sellers online at the moment. So I think 1 in every 15 Malaysians are selling something online. So I think in terms of the skills list, I think that's still dynamic. I know you asked for a top 10, but I think we have a full list of jobs that we need, skills that we need in the market that we publish online. But in terms of where we see it, that's how we work very close with the industry. I mean, in the likes of the semiconductor industry like Inari, with the local companies like Boeing, in terms of international companies, also local companies we work with like Farmfresh. So again, work with everyone to identify what are the skills that are needed, and then work with the different institutions to develop those skills accordingly.
Mm-hmm. And another thing we want to look at is dari segi latihan tenaga kerja yang bukan dilihat sebagai cost saja tapi sebagai investment juga. Tapi bagaimana TalentCorp nak pastikan peralihan kepada outcome-based training models di mana funding is tied to employment outcomes, productivity gains or wage progression, and how do we audit real impact after 6 to 12 months?
Okay, so I think our approach is always cost sharing with the industry. What does that mean is anything we don't do it ourselves, but we also make sure the industry don't do it themselves. I mean, the internship is one example, right? We give a sort of a subsidy for every internship that's given in the market, so that employees who still pay an internship fee, you subsidize part of the cost. So again, the idea is always to empower the industry to hire more. So again, talent is always in a way a cost, but good talent means investment, and good talent is what determines between a good company and a not so good company. So kalau you think what TalentCorp is doing, I think it's very much focused on what industry wants, and then we work with industry to bridge part of the gap. So again, for a company wanting to invest, you do have to invest as much as you need so that you actually can get quicker ROI. So that helps create a win-win situation for both us as a government agency and also them as a corporate or a company.
Understood. But in a world where talent is mobile, how does Malaysia compete not just to attract but to retain also circulate talent? So what is TalentCorp strategy on domestic mobility, diaspora engagement, also earn and learn pathways, and are there sector-specific targets from 2026 to 2028, Raja?
So if I looking at it from a larger perspective, right? I think there's a big focus on empowering local talent. As much as we try to encourage as much expats to come in, I think local talent is key to creating a strong and high-income society. Bringing good talent back to the workforce is important, meaning that we have women who's been out of the workforce, good army people who've been out of the workforce. How do you bring them back, empowering them back to the talent? Number 3 is being very focused. We as a country have limited bullets, so we want to work with the industries that are growing. So I think that's why we speak a lot to the semicon industry, to the data center industry. We can't talk to every single industry, but we try to empower high impact industries to grow and to help bridge their talent gap. But again, I think in terms of every sector, we do have slightly different targets. But the good part is we are talking to the key stakeholders of each sector. So we're not doing it ourselves. It's not, the TalentCorp ourselves thinking, X, Y, Z to do. We work with industry to do it. And again, the ideas will always be industry focused versus we shops and really doing it ourselves.
Okay, one last question, Hamza. In 1 minute, if you had to name at least one non-negotiable deliverables for 2026, what would they be and who owns them? And what are the key execution risks and how does TalentCorp ensure delivery discipline, so productivity and also wage outcomes stay on track?
I think the thing, what we talk a lot about at the board meetings and all that, again, I don't speak for management. I just speak for, I think, for me personally, I think the AI talent gap is the key, right? In the government, it's already giving good subsidies in terms of training for AI. We also push that very aggressively. So I think in terms of where we're going, where the industry is going, we have to bridge this AI talent gap because it may cause huge disruption in the job market. But again, at the same time, we have to be ahead of the curve because it is extremely competitive. The likes of Singapore, Vietnam, our peers are all catching up or ahead of us, right? So we always have to catch up in terms of where our talent's placed. But again, at the same time, some tailwinds. I think there's a lot of companies looking at Malaysia now, given the stability and the growth in the past few years. So I think we are basically at the forefront of growth in Southeast Asia.